Let's get to the Philadelphia Eagles links. Eagles are dominating in the trenches. PhillyVoiceOn this season. On average, the Eagles have outgained their opponents on the ground by more than 70 yards per game. Here is a chart that shows rush yard differential, or the difference between rushing yards per game and rushing yards allowed per game. As you can see, the Eagles lead the league in this metric. Eagles are now favored to win the Super Bowl, and Carson Wentz has the best NFL MVP odds. BGN Crazy Afternoon QB with BLG. The Eagles are so good that we don't know what to say about them. BGNradio.com Bull talks about how the Eagles dominated Denver, why it's okay to starting calling this team a Super Bowl favorite, how the Eagles have amazing team chemistry, and much more. Teams at the top. Eagles Blitz. C happen to think the Eagles are the best team. Clearly I am biased, but I can make a good case. Both teams are top 5 on offense points and yards. Both are very good on STs. Both are good on defense, but very different. The Eagles have a historically good run defense right now. They lead the league in a completely overwhelming RBS. The Rams are 26th in run defense. They give up 4.6 yards per carry. NFL MVP poll. Who's the mid-season favorite? ESPN. The case for Carson Wentz, the quarterback of the team with the best record, is almost always a top candidate, and at the moment, that's Wentz of the 81 Eagles. He leads the NFL with 23 two-count passes against just 5 interceptions, and he ranks in the top 5 in passing yards, passer rating and total QBR. Heading into the bye, Wentz dropped 4 two-count passes on the Broncos' secondary in last week's win to stamp his and Philadelphia's case as legit. Eagle Eye. How the defense dominated Denver. P.com After looking at the play of the Eagles' offense in their dismantling of the Denver Broncos, I want to now look at what can be described as another dominant outing from this Eagles defense. They gave up 23 points in this game, but this was another extremely impressive performance against a Denver team that was very up and down throughout the season and was ushering in a new starting quarterback in Brock Osweiler. Needless to say, the Eagles' defense gave Osweiler a warm Philadelphia welcome to start the game. Eagles to Chris Long working to bring clean water to East Africa. 6 ABC. Philadelphia Eagles defensive end Chris Long was joined by friends and family Monday night in Center City to raise money to tackle a major issue off the football field. Chris is working to help those in Tanzania who are in need of clean water. It started as a trip to Kilimanjaro and ended up being a life-changing experience both for Chris and the people of East Africa, Chris' father and football legend Howie Long said. All 22. How the Eagles found a way to drop 51 points on the Broncos. The athleticity was working in practice, and they did a good job of scheming the game plan, Jeffrey said. Carson did a great read. We practice it. If he pulls it, just take off and run. That's how it worked out. And of course, it helps that the quarterback is capable of making special plays on a weekly basis. This is a hard throw, and Wentz throws this very casually, Schwartz said. You have Von Miller in your face. You have a very tight window. He hits him in stride. And it looks like he's not even trying. Film breakdown. J.J. LeGarrette Blount, Corey Clement. The Eagles' three-headed RB monster inquire each week this season. Well, break down a player trend, a scheme from the Eagles' previous game using the coach's all-22 film. This week, we spotlight their multifaceted run game after the addition of J.J. Eagles running backs rushed for a combined 197 yards and 3 two-counts in Sunday's 5,123 win over Denver. The Broncos had held opposing offenses to an average of 72.9 yards on the ground and hadn't allowed a two-count in their first 7 games. Eagles making NFL history on both sides of ball. NBC Sports. Philadelphia opposing teams have run the ball only 166 times against the Eagles this year, the fewest in NFL history through 9 games. The previous low was 171 against the 2003 Titans. First thing is honesty. How Eagles Ducci Staley handled RBS after J.J. trade. Penn Live. LeGarrette Blount said the first call he received last week after the Eagles decided to trade for another Pro Bowl running back came from his position coach. Ducci Staley played 10 seasons in the NFL. He's mentored a handful of stars during his 5-year tenure as Philly's running backs coach. And he wanted to be the one to tell the 30-year-old Blount that the team dealt a 4th-round pick to the Dolphins to acquire J.J., a ball carrier who will compete for significant playing time and carries. Week 9 DVOA ratings. Football Outsiders. The 2017 season has seen a lot of parity, without a historically dominant team. But the best teams of the year are still pretty good, and they're very well-rounded. As of this week, there are now 4 different teams that rank in the top 10 on both sides of the ball, 2 of which are in the top 10 on special teams as well. The Rams are one, and the 81 Philadelphia Eagles are the other. In fact, the Eagles are even better balanced than the Rams are. They rank 9th or higher if we break down the game into 5 phases instead of 3: pass offense 4, pass defense 8, run offense 9, run defense 8, and special teams 5. NFL 2017 PFF Mid-Season All-Pro Team for Light stat: over his last 3 games, Jason Kelce has allowed just 5 pressures, including not allowing any in his last outing against Denver in Week 9. Jason Kelce has returned to form, his best play this season for the Eagles, and has been a major part of their offensive line being so dominant. Kelce has allowed 13 total pressures, which is more than ideal for a center, but his run blocking in Philadelphia's zone blocking concepts has been fantastic, and catapults him to the top of PFF's center rankings. Broncos' offensive line gave up more pressures against Eagles than any other game. Mile High report: according to Pro Football Focus, the Denver Broncos' offensive line gave up more pressure against the Philadelphia Eagles than in any game this season. Pete Carroll's stubborn run-first attitude cost the Seahawks in Week 9. SB Nation: the Seahawks can't run the dang ball anymore, but they keep trying anyway. Bad quarterback performance of the week: Brock's still bad. Deadspin: Brock Osweiler is back, and I have some really good news. He's still very much Brock Osweiler. Coming into this weekend, the former $37 million man hadn't started a game since January 2016, and he hadn't started one for the Broncos since January of 2015. But his long and tragicomic and implausibly lucrative journey eventually brought him back to Denver, and on Sunday the Broncos were reintroduced to an old friend. Social media information: BGN Facebook page, click here to like our page. BGN Twitter, follow at Bleeding Green. BGN Radio Twitter, follow at BGN_radio. BGN Radio Facebook, click here to like our page. BGN Radio Patreon, support the show. BGN manager Brandon Lee Goten, follow at Brandon Goten.